Hello and welcome back. Today I've got a pretty nice video for you all. I'm finally releasing a map for once. Yes, after a few months of not talking about it and working on it, I finally made a map that works well enough that I'm okay with releasing a beta version of it. In the next week or so, I'm going to get it tested with like 10 plus players playing, and then I'll release the full version of it with balance tweaks and bug fixes. But otherwise, you can download it in the description, play it as to your heart's content. I don't want to bore you too much before we get into explaining the game mode, but I just want to say a few technical things before. Otherwise, yeah, you can play it. It runs really well. And I just want to mention before I start talking about it that I know a lot of the footage here seems a bit laggy and choppy, but I just want to say that was a bit of a video corruption on top of the fact that my computer's a 32-bit single-core system. You can't expect much from that. On a normal computer it runs fine, though. Mine is just a toaster. But anyway, technicalities aside, I should probably actually talk about the minigame. It's called Rapid Castle Guard. It's a rapid team deathmatch minigame, which can have either 2 teams or 4 teams, and it can have as many players as you want to fit on your server, though I suggest a soft cap of maybe 20 players per team, because after that, the amount of loot is a little bit stretched between players. But aside from that, you can have as many people as you want. Even if you're a crazy person and you want 400 people on your server, you could have like super 100 versus 100 versus 100 versus 100 battles. I only really limited the game to 1,000 players max. But yeah, aside from that, it's got 2 major things that make it a little more interesting. One's the items. The items, there are a few special ones, such as snowballs you throw, which create bridges, or a sort of Molotov-style item where you throw the experience bottle and it bursts into flames. Same with players if they have experience when they die. And also another thing, and my favorite by far, is the fact that when you fire arrows and they hit blocks, they damage the blocks. And so it adds another dynamic to bow battles, where when you're hiding behind pillars, you have to build new pillars or run around a bit more, because you can't really camp in one spot without it being destroyed by another person with a bow. Then there's more normal items like ender pearls, swords, armor, you know how it goes. And then there's built-in things like occasionally there can be TNT cannons and stuff, which you can also use TNT to blow up your enemy's base if you really want to. But another thing about all these special items is that they will appear randomly in the fortress. So every game can have different dynamics of items. Though you might get a game where you have every single possible thing, like full diamond armor, full diamond weapons, bows, snowballs, molotovs, all those different things. You can also get games where you have very little, like just armor, or just weapons, or just weak armor and strong weapons, or strong armor and weak weapons. Sometimes there's no bows, sometimes there's no ender pearls, you know, stuff like that. Just because it all randomly appears, some games will have some and some won't. That said, also with the loot being random, that's a segue into the fact that the special thing about the fortresses in the game mode is they are also randomized. However, they are also mirrored, so all the loot you get in your fortress, your enemy will get. If you get a TNT cannon, they will get a TNT cannon. If your fort is tall and blocky, theirs will be too, because it's all the same fortresses for balance. So it looks different, it plays different every time, but it's random every time. And I really like that as a design, because that means, though a new player still has to learn things like the items and the best ways to use TNT cannons and various other strategies, at least the players won't be disadvantaged by either the enemy getting better loot that will make them lose, or the enemy knowing the map layout far better than them. This is an issue in a lot of games like the survival or hunger games. And that's one of the things I wanted to deal with this competitive map, because even though this map can be used for tournaments and things, like the Race for Wolves maps, it can also be used just for casual play if you really want to. Anyway, I'm just rambling about various features. I could talk about other things like the fact that water is poisonous, so you can't just swim into your enemy's base. And also the fact that the game is split into a first 3-minute grace period, so you can explore your fortress and find all your loot. Then after the 3 minutes, you can throw projectiles, which opens the strategy for throwing ender pearls over into your base. Then after 5 minutes, you don't need ender pearls to cross over. Players themselves can go past the barrier. And then after 10 minutes, it hits sudden death, and attacks do a lot more damage, while arrows just completely explode in TNT blasts, making it crazy and should end the game a lot faster. But I don't want to go too in-depth with all these various features, and I'm trying not to ramble too hard because I'm known for rambling. But either way, I hope you guys can download the map, I hope you guys have put up with my rambling, and I hope you guys will enjoy the map. In a few days, the trailer will be out, and that'll be the full release, and that should have all the bugs fixed if you find any. And then maybe I'll add some more features after that at some point. And maybe I'll also make a video talking a little more in depth about strategy and just, maybe even a how-to video, just for the basics of how, like, items and stuff work. Either way, I hope you enjoyed. I hope I didn't ramble too much. And see you next time.